All right, welcome to another episode of the Scar Nation podcast. Today I have Chad Mattson on to tell y'all all about his story. Let me go in here and switch this. I don't know why Facebook does this, brother, but you got to go in and manually switch it
I get it.
to public, and we're good. Let me go ahead and run the intro right quick. All right, back again, another episode of Scar Nation podcast. Chad Mattson. Go ahead and introduce. Am I saying your last name right? I want to
That's
make
it, Mattson. Yeah,
Chad
perfect.
Mattson. Okay, brother. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
All right, Scar Nation, man, stand up. This is for me. This is a privilege to get on here with Josh and to have a chance to talk to the audience and the following that he's put together and what this guy's done with his life and the motivation that he's been for everybody, continues to be every day. But just to jump in with me, I'm Chad Mattson. I am Northwest Florida, born and raised, Pensacola, Florida. Um, we talk about where I come from and the trials and tribulations of my life. Where it started is pretty mundane and ordinary as any middle of the road American middle class family. Like I came from a two-parent house. I've got a sibling, younger sister, but my parents were the few parents in my circles where they were actually together 40 plus years now. So it's just a testament, but I come from a household where, yeah, we weren't wealthy. We didn't have money like that, but mom and dad busted their ass to make sure that my sister and I didn't go without, and we were able to do the things. My dad was involved with all of my little league sports life. He never missed a practice. My mother, she worked concession stands and, very, very involved. Like I don't have one of those stories where you can more or less pinpoint like, oh shit, that's the moment where maybe his life took a turn for the worse.
Mhm.
Um, I was a kid that I couldn't keep my mouth shut in class, like very personable, and just a slacker by every stretch of that imagination. Like I would try to cut every corner and couldn't stay focused and applied in school, but I did enough to get by. It was like that mantra, see you at graduation. Like that's how I did it. And but you know, I think that my life went in a direction where, now as a 41-year-old man, I can say that during that time frame, my very early teen years, even 12, 13 years old, I learned what pot was. And then I also was very comfortable with what alcohol was and how it was a natural, it was like a distant family member for my family. Like alcohol was involved in almost everything we did, holidays, events, all
Right.
those things. So from a very early age, I realized that, oh, damn, alcohol it's a way of life. Like this is normal.
Yeah.
And my parents were weekend warriors. Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, they wouldn't touch it. But once it was over with, that weekend they hung out. We
Right.
live in a beach town in Pensacola, so a lot of that on the weekend. So I was exposed to that growing up. Complete slacker in high school, but I've always had an ability uh, to connect with people.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to college, didn't have any specialty skill, but my specialty skill was my ability to sell. And it didn't matter what it was. And it took me a while, in my late teen years to kind of try to find my footing, but I got into financial services. From somebody who didn't go to college and who didn't have any accolades or any reason to be put in a position, I was given an opportunity with a mortgage company. I started originating mortgages in the early 2000s when it was booming. And I realized like I can do this. Like, I mean, I can really do this on a level that it could change my life. And boom, in the flash of an eye, the mortgage refi boom dried up and the housing crisis. And we all know that story.
Mm.
Um, in my 20s, I was a party animal. And this is during that time frame. And my parents were weekend warriors. I was 7 day a week if I could pull it off, burning that candle hardcore from both ends.
Yeah.
But I worked hard, but I played even harder. And it was like those two worlds were, it was on a collision course. And but the ambition kept me going. And if anybody's lived that bar hopping lifestyle and all that, it's not cheap to do that. So you got to figure out how to finance those bad habits. And I lucked up and got involved in the life insurance business. I went and got my license as quick as I could. I studied, did those things. And I mean, the second I started it, it was like, holy shit, I was born to do this.
Hey,
And
let me cut in. I hate to cut
yeah,
you off,
no,
man,
no,
but
no, 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 go.
it sounds that I can relate with you a lot, brother. It sounds like you're very ambitious.
Oh, it's
You're an extremely ambitious person, because I understand that's what it takes to get into things like sales and actually go out of the way to get these licenses to do stuff like this. I think that's awesome, brother. And I don't know what you're doing now, but you can in sales you can make so much money if you get
oh,
into the right
dude.
field. There's no cap on sales.
That's the
You
I
know?
joke with that with sales, like sales profession is that's the normal person's like athlete level career. Like
Yeah, dude. There's no
you can
cap.
make attorney money, you can make doctor
Yeah.
money, and you don't have to go to school for it. It's just you got to be good at what you do
You got to be
and be
good
able,
with people and
that's it.
communicating.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But I got into life insurance, and while my career trajectory seemed to be like taking off, even Freight was like, okay, wait a minute. It wasn't the end of the world when the mortgage situation dried up. It was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. That's
Yeah.
taken off. However, my party lifestyle, my addiction, the binge blackout drinking it's now ratcheting up to a level it's never been before. Like
Right.
it's to the point now where the people that I was normally hanging out with, they're starting to find, and I didn't see it in the moment. When you're in your addiction, you don't know what you're doing until you stop it. You don't feel it, see it.
Yeah.
So, for me, I didn't think anything of it, but all of a sudden, people that had really been close to me were becoming distant. And it was because of they don't want to deal with me. It's like if we go out with Chad, it's going to end up being I'm going to end up getting in a fight. I'm going to fall
Right.
down. I was just a blackout. Can't stop. Once I have that first little taste, it's not going to stop until I
I
can't
can
do it
relate.
anymore.
I can relate.
Yeah, terrible, terrible. But that's getting is worse than it's ever been. And on top of that, the life insurance company I worked for, I've got so much momentum in a short period of time. I get promoted to a staff manager. That's a 6 month ordeal. And all of a sudden now at my location, at my office in Pensacola, I've become the top producing sales manager for our staff. That went without notice. All of a sudden, the big bosses who all operate out of Cincinnati, Ohio, they come down. We do like it's more or less just to come check in on the offices. We had a good sales campaign in a company, just sales promotion that was run nationwide. We hammered it out. So they're like, hey, and it was that weekend I got offered a position that no matter what my life looked like and all the things going on behind the scenes, there was no way in hell I could say no to it. They're
Mm.
like, look, you're not checking the boxes you're supposed to check, but you check a box that we can't ignore, and that is you know what the hell you're doing, and you're doing it at the highest level. Well, we want to offer you a district sales manager position with your own footprint, own agency in Panama City, Florida. I'm 26 years old. I am a party animal, but dude, like life, I remember that moment. It wasn't even taking a job. It was when a conversation was had. My brain started operating in a different direction. And now all of a sudden you can't tell me shit. So all the people that are like, oh, Chad, you need to slow down, man. Your life's getting out of control. How the hell can it be out of control, man? Look at what I'm doing. I'm ahead of everybody right now. I got a
Right.
job so it was just like, oh my God, dude, it was a recipe for disaster. But dude, I
Yeah.
had no idea. I was so far gone in myself and in that lifestyle that it's like, dude, I didn't even know what I was doing. But
Yeah.
I go to Panama City, I relocate. And so you talk about a nightmare scenario for, somebody. I'm 26, but that spring break candle, that eternal flame, it never went out in my body, my
Yeah.
mind, my life. So I go to the spring break capital of the world, a party city, and that's where I'm going to set up shop. I do not have my family support system, nothing around me. I'm out there on my own with a staff of 6 agents and nobody. I don't know anybody.
Recipe
So,
for disaster. You was in the wrong city, buddy.
bro, listen, and we'll get to it, but it lasted
Yeah.
about 180 days. That's as long as I made it. But, so I get out there, you know, but it's the craziest thing, bro. Like I'm living in a way where in one part of my brain saying, this cannot be real, dude. Like a kid like you who's really been nothing but, a fuck up. All of a
Mm.
sudden I'm thrusted in this. Not only am I thrusted into an opportunity that seems like I shouldn't be there, but dude, I'm doing it to the point where I'm getting recognition from all the players in this game. And it's just like, okay, this was my life. This is what I was supposed to do, man. I was born to do this. So all that did, bro, and this is the thing about addiction, man. it feeds off the other energies in your life. So now all of a sudden, now I'm an ego, bro, like out of control ego, and it is just fueling this
Yeah.
monster. So, what am I doing? I'm in a town where I'm making more money than I was responsible enough to make. I'll say that I did very well, but just completely reckless and an idiot. So it didn't matter how much money I made, I'd figure out a way to screw my life up. You can't out
Yeah.
earn your stupidity, and that's something I learned the hardest way possible.
Yeah.
But
Millionaires can go broke.
come on, man, they're the most dangerous ones.
Yeah.
Give guys like me and you access to things that we'll take it to a level that people can't comprehend. That's the nastiness of addiction.
Yeah.
But I'm out there, bro, and things are on the surface. But even me, I couldn't turn a blind eye to it. I knew that I can't keep living like this. I'm out till 3, 4 in the morning, taking a shower, going in hungover, eating a handful of Percocets in the morning just to get me through that hangover period.
Yeah.
And then now I have more responsibility than I've ever had in my life. And I've got 6 people whose livelihood is in my hands. And behind the scenes, I'm just this idiot who's just taking life for granted every freaking night. And I believe that things happen, and it's more or less your destiny. I don't like using certain words, but when you've gone through something that I'm about to get into, man, you pick it apart, you reverse engineer it and say, what if I would have done that? What if I did that? You just look at every little inch and angle of your life and said, if it would have just shifted slightly, would life look different now? And where I'm going with that is, unlike any other day that I operated with, I woke up on a Monday in September of 2009. Like I said, I am being heralded as the next superstar manager. I'm the youngest district sales manager in my 3-state division. And like I said, man, you can't tell me nothing. I am doing it, and I don't care what anybody else says. I woke up on a Monday where over the weekend, my then girlfriend and I went to my secretary's, like a backyard style country wedding. Had a great weekend. Got into an argument because, like I said, behind the scenes, it looked different. It wasn't all, it didn't look like it was all put together. She knew the demons that I battled and that was destroying everything else in my world. So I had another Saturday night after the wedding. We tied one on, and I woke up the next day to, Chad, I thought that this was ending. And she's like, you are literally and arguably worse than ever. And, I try to downplay the situation. She's supposed to stay through the next couple of days. She lives back in Pensacola, about a 2-hour drive. She ends up leaving. I go to work Monday. My secretary is now out on her honeymoon. And when I say secretary, she wasn't really a secretary. She was my babysitter. She was the office babysitter. I do what I do with developing agents, and we're selling and we're grinding. We're knocking everything out of the park. But I have to be reminded to check emails. I'm showing my age now, check the fax machines. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So she's gone for a week. So in my mind, hell, y'all, the office is on autopilot. I'm going to spend most of my time, running it from then a BlackBerry where you roll a ball. That's where we were at back then.
Remember the BlackBerry?
Yeah. Oh yeah, baby, Crackberry.
Yeah.
But on that Monday, man, I had made my mind up. I'd followed my girl. She left. She's not there. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do my every week on Monday mornings. I do a daily, but it's to project what they have going on for the week. How many appointments? What kind of premium sales that they're calling by Friday? We cover all that on Monday, and it takes about an hour, hour and a half. I zipped through it. I was like, I'm not gonna sit in this office. So, just coming off, we grinded through an awesome sales campaign. I don't know why on this particular Monday, but I did. This happened. I was like, I'm going to go just chill out. I don't see any clients. I'm going to go to my office away from the office across the street, which was the bar at Hooters on Thomas Drive in Panama City. And, honest to God, man, it started with, I'm just going to do what I normally do, which is like, I'll drink 2. Back at the time, it was Maker's Mark and Diet Coke. And I tell them to hit that gun one time with that Diet Coke. There ain't really no Diet Coke in there. Let me drink my bourbon.
Yeah.
And so I did it. I've done that several times, and that's the end of it. But whatever reason on that particular Monday, I said, you know what? I'm going to quote unquote let my hair down. Like I'm going to go to a beach bar. I'm going to have some drinks, and I'm just going to call Monday quits. Simultaneously with all this, the guy who was parallel to me in Pensacola, he had been trying to contact me. There was something I had to sign, and he'd been trying to email it to me, and for whatever reason, it wasn't going. So I'm getting emails from him later in the day. Now, at this point, I've had several drinks, and he tells me, he's like, bro, he's like, Chad, you've got to go back to the office. You got to grab that with your hand off that fax machine. You got to sign it and fax it back to me. We got to get whatever it was done. And I put it off for about an hour. And within that hour, and this is who Chad was then, in that hour, I was like, okay, I know I got to leave because I got to go do that. So I'm gonna do a couple shots. I'm gonna do it with the bartender because I've established relationships. That was my thing, buddy. Like, I had a relationship with every bartender that tended me, man. So, we do a couple shots, and I tell them, like, look, I'm gonna cash out. I gotta go. So I do, man. I get in the car. So all of a sudden, about an hour, I'll back up about an hour before that, my girlfriend who left, she starts texting me. We're in a full-blown text war, fighting back and forth. So that continues. I leave. I cash out. I'm going back to the office to do what I got to do. Get in my car. I'm driving, and it's not. I'm probably not even 3 miles away. I'm driving with my knee, fighting with her. And in a split second, everything that was going on in my life, everything that I was, everything that mattered, and everything that made Chad disappeared in the next split second, because while I was distracted and obviously intoxicated, I didn't realize I'd veered off onto the side on the shoulder of the road. And there was two 15-year-old kids just out of school riding bikes on the road. I clipped one of them. He hit the car, and he succumbed from his injuries 5 days later.
Wow.
When I tell you that sometimes in life we have this moment, and when I mean moment, I meant like you knew who you were, and you were that person living that life, and in that instant, all of that disappeared, and it was the eeriest, sickest, I can't describe it, feeling of my life just ended. But not only that, at the time I'm so worked up, I don't know what's going on. It's like I can't even comprehend what the real demon and the real battle is about to be with this, that I'm going to have to learn how to wake up every day and go to sleep every night, as a man responsible for the death of another human being. But guys, all that shit went away. The life insurance shit, this party lifestyle, this crap that I thought meant something in life, it was literally, that was it. It was over. None of that mattered. The people in my life, it was like, you realize what you were valuing after you're pulled away, and what you've been giving your energy to, and everything that I was giving my energy to was destroying my life and didn't have a real place in it. I had been pushing my family away with my lifestyle, and letting my addictions run who I was, and control what I did. And I learned the hardest way possible that a single decision, and make no mistake about it, I'm not the DUI guy that says, oh my God, I made a mistake, and I did it over and over and over. But I'm the one that can tell you, and I'm the guy that can say that single decision, screw what it did to my life, but the way it absolutely destroyed so many other lives, and they've never been the same since. And it was the most avoidable decision I could have made, and that was to get behind the wheel after I had been drinking. Forget the addiction, forget the craziness. It's what I did, in that moment, in the decision I made, that's the reason somebody else didn't wake up on this earth today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to jump in, Josh. Like, I mean, that's a lot.
I got so many questions. But I want to start by saying, I'm sorry that happened to you, brother. I don't know what it would be like to be in this. And I got to tell you, that was always my biggest fear. And now that I'm, 34 years old and I don't drink anymore, and that's actually a big reason I don't drink, because I've been arrested for DUI 4 times in my life.
Damn, man.
4 times.
You could have been me 4 times over easily.
That's what I was just about to get into. Thank God that I never ended up like that, because there were several occasions where that could have happened. There were occasions where I was blacked out, don't even remember how I got home. I remember one time, just to go on a little tangent, I remember one time I was hanging out with my buddy in Athens, Tennessee, And I had taken this pill. I was drinking real heavy. This was normal for me. Like I would just do this type of shit.
I get it.
And I left to go back to Cleveland, Tennessee, which is about an hour drive where I was living, about an hour drive. And I remember waking up the next day, not remembering how I got home. And the first thing on my mind was go check your car to see if there's any kind of blood or, like I didn't know if I ran somebody
or if your car was even outside.
Or if my car was it. But I was more concerned, did I hit somebody? Or did I do a hit and run or anything? So that was my first. And I remember thinking to myself, man, if that ever happened to me, there's no excuses for one because I keep doing this. I was the type of person I drink and I was quick to jump behind that wheel. I didn't give a shit. That's one of the biggest reasons I don't drink because I know, like right now, I can tell myself, I'm not going to drive. I'm just going to get an Uber. Let me get a few in me.
Oh, all that goes out the window, bro.
Yeah, let me get a few in. And I'm also the type of person to say, well, I'm not going to take any drugs or whatever. Let me get a few in me. And then I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it. Whatever. Like I'm down for anything. I'm not a good person that drinks.
So you were like me, man. You were whatever person you were, like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to make sure. But as soon as you get that drink, that person don't exist no more. Now you're that Josh and I'm that Chad. And it's anything goes at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was me. I would be thinking like conscious, like I am now. And then I'd go get a few in me. And you know how it goes, brother. Like you get 2 or 3 in, 3 or 4, 6, 12, whatever, a couple of shots. And
that inhibition's gone.
Yeah, then it's full blown, just whatever goes. And I'm just I'm super blessed that I wasn't in your position. But I gotta ask you, man, you seem you was doing good. You was successful out here doing you what was it? What was the feeling like? Did you go straight to jail or did you bond out? Let me ask you that first.
I ended up bonding out. I had to sit until a couple days before. I did like 30 days in jail because my bond was 400,000 when it happened. It was like, I can't, because I already knew, what type of, legal fees I was going to have. And it's like, this ain't realistic because, make no mistake about it. It was like, I was doing good, but A, I had not been making that level of money for that long. Right. And 2, bro, like I told you, my lifestyle, it didn't matter how much money I made. Right. Dude, I would find a way to blow 10 grand a month. So it was like,
yeah. You could easily in a different.
Oh, dude,
you probably didn't have a nest egg saved.
I mean, I had a little bit, but it was like, I definitely couldn't do both. There's no bonding out and, having legal defense. So lawyers and stuff. Yeah. And I'll say this, and I'll let you, before I'll cut off again, but, people ask about what was one of the hardest times, bro. It was when I was on bond for 5 months waiting for my fate. That was the hardest grind because you were going to ask me like, what was that like, being successful and then having it all taken away.
Yeah.
Bro, I was, and it's a whole different story, but I'll touch on it lightly. I was an inch away from taking my own life. I was going to eat about 80 sleeping pills. It was around Christmas time. This happened September, the end of September of 2009. Now this is around Christmas and like reality's really set in, bro. Yeah. And the weight of that shit is now it's sitting heavy. So yeah, I mean, I had it planned out. I had it completely planned out. Like, so yeah, it took me to the point I didn't want to wake up.
I get it, man. I can relate a little bit. I'm not going to say I can relate completely with knowing that I was responsible for somebody no longer being here. That would be traumatic for me. And I'm sure it was for you too, and still is, I'm sure. But the part that I can relate on is being successful, having everything I want comfortably and just blowing my money on drugs and alcohol. And that one decision that I made to leave my job on break to go get that fentanyl pill and come back destroyed my life because that was my 4th DUI of being arrested. And I got arrested for it while I was on break on the clock, mind you.
Damn, bro.
And, I knew instantly when that police officer decided to take me to jail, I instantly knew that I just lost everything.
Yeah, that's it. You know the difference. There's those moments where you're like, and then there's that moment where you're like, it ain't never gonna be the same again.
Yes, and I remember what that depression was like going because I bonded out the net, which my bond wasn't no 400 grand, but I got my girlfriend to come bond me out, and later on would lose my. But I remember when I got out, that's when my addiction went full-fledged. I cashed out my
dude.
401k, blew 20 grand because I did not. I knew what happened. I didn't want to face it though. I knew what I just did. I knew that you just fucked up. This is what you did. You just lost a 6-figure job. You're gonna lose that. Like, so you're gonna do some jail time, whatever. I knew the situation I was in. You know, in a fourth offense, that could have been a felony, which could have been prison time for all I know. So I didn't want to come back down from. Yeah, I didn't want to come back down from reality. So I started hitting the fentanyl even harder. I did not want to, and that's when it. You know, that last 6 months of my addiction, that's when it
it's crazy how the addict's brain is wired, bro. Because you're just like me. That's how I'm gonna handle that. That if I'm in your situation, you're telling the story how you did. That's exactly how I would though. You're narrating it just like it's me doing it because it's the same. That addiction, it operates the same way, bro.
Same mindset. Yeah, it's an escape, man. People get high to escape their own.
You just want to run and run and run and run and run, bro, until you realize you're like, I can't run no damn farther.
Right. That's what happened to me. And they call it rock bottom. I had hit my rock bottom. I said, you know what? I can't keep going like this. If I want to continue to live, I got to make a change. And that's what I did. And that was a hard decision. But what I'm getting at is I could not imagine that last 6 months being like your last 5 or 6 months. I don't know what, man.
I was in denial, dude. There's pivotal moments, and there's moments, I'll never forget during that. The first major one was, I get out on bond, I'm home. I have a general understanding of like what the fuck is really going on, but I don't want to believe it. I'm in complete denial. I'm still in that state where, and this is crazy, you grow through a process like this, but in the beginning but this was a fucking accident. Like I've never been in trouble in my life. Like this is an accident, but that's a phase, and you get through and you have you understand, like what the hell just really happened. But my attorney's like, hey, we got some news. I need you to come in. I want to talk to you about it. And I couldn't help but get excited. I don't know what else to do, bro. I don't got experience with this. So I'm like, okay, well, shit, he's calling me in there. This is good. So I come in, I sit down. He's got this weird vibe, and I'm like, I don't. Now I'm like, wait a minute, I'm confused now. And he just slides a piece of paper across, and I'm reading it, and I can't, dude. When I tell you, like, I went completely cotton mouthed. The blood rushed out of my head. It's like a state of complete shock. And all I see is 30 years Department of Corrections, 7 years state supervision. So I'm looking at him going, 30 years what? In prison for an accident? So, dude, at that moment there, that's when it was like, there's no getting away from these consequences. I had finally walked and stood face to face with a consequence that was so much bigger and was going to whoop me so much harder than anything else had in my life. And it was like throw my hands up, like I surrender, man. Like I give up. Like there's no way out of this. My life is over. 26 years old, you see numbers like that. You could just easily replace the 30 years with LIFE, and that means the same thing to me. 30 years is life when you're in your 20s. Yeah. Come on, man.
I know that feeling, brother. When you know that there's no way out of this, you're like, oh shit, that's a traumatic feeling, man. That's a fucked up feeling. Yeah, man, I couldn't imagine. And I try to preach perspective on my page. Like I talk about it a lot, man. Look at things from a different perspective. So my situation, what I was all depressed about, and like I didn't want to live anymore type shit. You compare that to your situation, it's like, fuck, you would have paid money to be in my situation.
Oh, bro, I tell people all the time. I'm like, dude, I know you losing your job, and I know these things feel like the end of the world, but bro, there's a dimension and a level that will make that feel like, you go into an amusement park. Like seriously, there's levels to all this. And unfortunately for me, bro, like there wasn't like really rough patches. I was out of control, but I wasn't, I was somehow skating consequence. And when it finally hit me, it was the big boy, man. It was as bad as it could be. Well, really, well, definitely, because people
you jump straight to
no prior DUIs to the worst one you could ever have. So
you jump straight to the big leagues. So let's get into that, because I got
okay.
Let's get into so you did 12 years, correct?
I did 13. I did 12 years, 10 months, man.
So 13 years basically. Okay. So what was your what was that like? Like in your introduction to prison? Never been locked up or anything
Never
like
been
that?
locked up, man. No county jail to I spent not even a week after I was sentenced, bro. I was on the next thing smoking.
Yeah.
And that bus ride, knowing I was going to prison and understanding I just was sentenced to 15 years in prison. And it was like I still to this day don't know. I don't know how to describe whatever state I was in. I was just numb, bro. Like life was
Yeah.
over and I just was going through the motions. So I'm on the bus, man, and I just remember when we pulled into the Northwest Florida Reception Center, the state process center for my region in Florida, and that gate, the bus went in and that gate went behind and shut and clanked. That clank still, bro, it rings in my head because that was the most surreal moment. It was like, holy shit. The earliest I can ever get on the other side of that fence, I'm going to be 40 years old. I was 26. So, well, I just turned 27. So, yeah, it was just, yeah. So coming in, bro, it was hitting me at 90 miles an hour. I tell people, not having any experience to that world, what you quickly grasp is I damn sure don't want to put off an energy that I'm A, scared to death, and B, that I don't have a freaking clue what I'm doing or what's going on. So as it's all coming at me, the guards, they set the tone at the reception centers, talk to any kind of way. It's crazy. And you got a bunch of guys, same vibe. So it's like I went from, the whole living a Panama City beach life to now it's like I'm in the Florida chain gang. How did this even happen?
Yeah.
And it was just like transition after transition after transition. When I first went in, dude, I was green. It was what it was. But I quickly, I was good at observing and figuring out like, well, how do you carry yourself in here the right way where it doesn't cause the problems, where I'm not going to continually be in the bullshit, and
Yeah.
how you stay away from the gangs. And it was like, just kind of like, bro, like I almost, it's funny because it's like, I don't know what else to compare it to, but it's like starting high school, your freshman year, you see the juniors and seniors and you're seeing how the kids move and you're like, man, I don't really know how to fit in. It's like that, except on total steroids. Like
Yeah.
the stakes are higher than they've ever been in your life. You know that if you make, a real bad decision,
it is something you have to learn.
oh,
Like how you move when you're locked up, it's different in there than it is out here. And it's something you got to learn. I remember when I first started going to jail, just something as simple as taking somebody's shit out of the microwave to put yours in can get you in a hell of a fight. You know what I'm saying? And you don't, just simple shit like that, you got to learn. Or walking up and grabbing the phone when that phone is one of the biggest fight starters in the world. And the microwave and the TV remote, shit like that.
TV,
like,
boy, that's that trick box.
Yeah, the TV remote. So those are things you got to learn. So go. How long did it take you to learn how to move while you were in prison?
It's like I actually, bro, I caught on quick because one thing with prison is you're going to find your way based on your personality and your style and the things that you've been into. So with me, bro, I'm a college football junkie. I'm a sports junkie. So I learned real quick about the gambling aspect of prison, like the sports parlays and how it's. So I kind of linked up with a guy he was the ticket man. That's the thing, in the chain gang, when you run a sports parlay, you're the ticket man. That comes with a whole different kind of swag, bro. It's like you got credibility. Everybody knows who you are. So I link up with him, and it was a blessing because this was a guy that had been doing time 20 years, man, and he just literally he saw that, his whole thing was, you ain't supposed to be here, but you're here, and this is your life, and it's going to be your life for a while. So let me soup you up. Let me put you on game. And he just being in that situation and seeing how to carry yourself, the things that you avoid. It was that was one of the best blessings because it fast tracked me, bro. And before you know it, I had not. I like to say this though, like, because people ask me about like the whole, how did you do that much time? It literally took me 2 calendar years, and I shit you not, I'm not exaggerating. It took me 2 years for me to finally accept I am fucking in prison and I can't get out. Because when you first fall, I've still got 1 foot on the other side of the fence, hypothetically. I'm trying to pay attention to my friends and everybody's writing you. And,
Yeah.
you're trying to stay as attached to that because that's a representation of your identity. That's what's real
Yeah.
about you. You don't want to let it go
That's
because
hard time.
dude, it's all I've known, but that's hard time.
That's hard
That's the
time.
hardest way to do time
Yeah.
is trying to do it with 1 foot on this side and the other foot trying to pay attention
Yeah.
to the free
Yeah. You
world.
gotta 100% live behind them walls, and
And easier said than done, bro. Easier said than done. But it's like
Yeah.
I learned it the hard way. I rode that phone. I was a phone rider, and it took a few years before it. I lucked into. They opened I'm from the Panhandle, and I started off over by Jacksonville, in Jasper County. The economy in Jasper County was the prison. I mean, it's that small of a town. Well, Florida DOC built and contracted with a private prison security company, and they built a new state-of-the-art private camp in Milton, Florida, which is the front porch of Pensacola. By luck, by pure luck, bro, I end up on a population adjustment transfer. They were cherry picking handfuls of inmates from institutions all over to fill this 1,800 bed facility. I landed on that bus and got there. So I got home probably 5 years before I could ever get close to my family. So that was an incredible blessing. But
Yeah.
man, it wasn't. It took me. I wasn't 3 years in, 4 years in at the most, I think. And I was the ticket man on the compound. I got. I mean, you got to find your way, bro. And that was my
Yeah.
way. I towed the line. I wanted to do good time. I didn't want the BS, but it was like, damn, this is how I can make these years go away. 6 months out of the year, football's on, bro. It's like, that's how I was doing time, Super Bowl to Super Bowl. And, I did it, and, it put a bunch of canteen in my lockers. It took care of a
Yeah.
lot of other people that were involved with it. And, it made time fly. But that was my spot. And then, halfway in, bro, I'm like the two-faced inmate. I'm the one running the biggest gambling ticket on the compound I live on, but I'm also the token inmate that works around admin and the security hallway and classification. So, I'm in those spots. And with those spots come privilege and leverage.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, I was able to do bunk changes for people. And, I was the inmate where at one point at a work camp, I could have access to the gate sheet and, kind of manipulate it. If, people wanted to work certain jobs, I could, talk to my supervisor and, she'd do it. So it gave me a lot of leverage. And with that, the respect and the, Chad was, I'm not a gangbanger, bro. That's never going to be that. Never been that.
Right.
I'm not going to go into prison and try to put that hat on. Like, I'm this badass from the street. That was never going to be me. But if you do that, you will get humbled. I promise you. Go in there and put on a face that's not your own. They'll call you out, boy, because they smell it. Can't hide from it.
Oh, you will get tested. That's a fact. You are going to get tested. I always tell people that. Be yourself. Don't be a bitch. Don't take no shit, but be yourself and don't act like this bad motherfucker, because you're going to get into it quick.
Because you're going to find one who's just as bad, brother, who's going to call you bluff. So if you're not really living like that,
yeah, so you're going to get tried.
That's it.
Don't give a damn if you're Kimbo Slice. You're going to get tried. But to get off of that,
yeah,
the way you were able to kind of work your way, you created value. That says a lot about you, man. You're just a hustler through and through. Wherever you're at, you're going to find a way to eat and make things happen. Says a lot about you. You know what I'm saying? That's what's.
You know what else to do, man. But it's like I did all that, but man, we can, like, one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life, bro, was during years in prison.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to become some poker player. Like I said, I wasn't gangbanging. So it's like I had to figure out a way to do something that felt constructive. Now, your prison life is your prison life. I operate and do what I do, but I feel like I needed a greater purpose, bro. I had done something that I didn't know how to forgive myself for. Right. And bro, those years I beat myself to death, Josh, because I didn't know how to be okay with the fact of what I did and that I was still here and somebody else wasn't. I held a grudge against myself. I wanted to punish myself. And with that addiction and self-sabotage, I'd want to keep myself in a bad frame of mind, because it's like, how dare you, man? How dare you feel good? And how dare you, when you ruin this shit for so many lives, you're supposed to be miserable, Chad. And that voice didn't shut up, man. But, you know, well, I swear to God, bro, I woke up one day in a cell, woke my bunkie up. It's like 2:30 in the morning. And I saw him kind of moving around. He's under me. So I looked down and I'm like, bro, you sleeping? He's like, no. I said, hey, man, let me ask you something. Something just popped in my head. And I'd come up with a pledge, and it was like an anti-DUI, anti-drinking and driving, texting and driving. But the whole concept was, man, I wanted to put together my story in my life and then have a pledge and get people in the community involved with it and put it in the high schools. And I had this vision of, man, putting this huge pledge banner in the middle of the gymnasium, and the kids see my PowerPoint story, and you get an opportunity at the end of it to come down and say, I don't want my life to end up like Chad's. I signed the pledge. I'm not going to drink and drive. So that was all just in my head. It took 2-3 years, but bro, I did every high school in my county from inside the fence. I had people that got behind it. My civil attorney, no relationship, but he would come for visits. And once that part of it ended, he's like, man, he goes, there's something in you in this situation. I feel compelled, Chad. I want to help you make this movement. I want to make it reality. What can I do? And I said, well, they're not going to let me go speak. So I would need someone to tell my story, man, to get it in front of these kids and say, you can do anything you want. If you don't think it can happen to you, look at this kid. Like, I mean, I was living, most kids think that's a cool life. Beautiful girlfriend, money, everything all went away. So if you don't think it can happen to you, imagine how I felt, because that shit couldn't happen to me until it did. So we did, man. We started a nonprofit, and it was called I Chose. And bro, we hit all the high schools the day before their prom. We'd go give them my testimony. And dude, it was one of the coolest things I ever did. I was writing newspapers, the editorial sections, telling my story, doing anything I could to promote that positivity, because when you take so much and you've done so much of that, it's like, bro, you got to swing that karma pendulum back the other way. And for me, it was like, no. Because one thing about it, we're human beings, bro. We want to be looked at and remembered for the good we do, not the bad. I didn't get that. I ruined that for me. So now I was going to make myself known for the bad. I'm the DUI killer. But I want everybody to look at me in my life so it's not you one day. And that's what I did. And I've chose to just ride that train. Like, it's not fun, bro. Like, my mental health through the years is like, it's been in turbulence. Like, because I was trying to do all this stuff while at the same time trying to heal and find peace. And it was a battle, man. It's still a battle, bro. Here we are. I'm home, 41 years old, trying to figure it all out.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome that you tried to make, and I can relate with that part. You tried to make a positive out of a negative. It still doesn't change the fact that somebody's life was lost, whatever. But I always think it's a beautiful thing when somebody's able to take such a negative situation and do the work to make it positive, because that's what I did with my story and what I continue to do, or what I will continue to do. Are you still running a nonprofit?
No, that was all this was during from 2014 to mid 16. And I'm going to tell you, man, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy and support and effort. And that was all being shifted to, people in my life. And it just became overwhelming to a point where it was like, okay, there'll be a time and a place, like we've accomplished a lot, but there'll be a time and a place when I'm home, when I can go full thrust. And to be honest, here we are, I've been home 16 months, but I'm still doing the small things. Like I work with my county sheriff, man, hand in hand with a group that he established called a Blazer Academy. And it's kids, it's young men, 12 to 18 years old. And it's just a group that meets every week, and it learns how to become a gentleman and the things in society that's getting neglected now, so it's a program for kids to just, get life on the right track and make sure they don't veer. I try to speak to that as often as I can. And then the social media thing, Josh, I stumbled across you, bro. And it was like, and that's the thing about it, man. You go do time for a while, you're around some of the worst kind of energy you can imagine, and it's like, I say things about prison. You see things, I've seen things I can never unsee.
For sure.
And, but when you get out, it's like, I was looking for that parallel energy, like someone like who is in, maybe a totally different story, but who's approaching life in maybe a negative and trying to be an example. And it was like, bro, I stumbled across you, but I think I'd seen like 2 videos and I was like, this dude's the truth. I didn't know you, bro. I didn't know you. I don't know you still. Yeah. But I know, bro. I know the difference. I know someone who's been in those trenches and who now is like, you know what? I'm gonna try to make sure that I can keep as many people as possible from feeling that life and living like how I did. And
Exactly.
it's, what you built, Scar Nation, bro. It's unbelievable. You're changing lives every day, and don't ever let anybody tell you or look at that lightly. Like what you're doing, bro, is your life's work.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're right, man. And I'm super blessed to be able to, I guess, have the gift of make people want to listen. So I try to use that for good to get people to just bring awareness. You know what
You're
I'm saying?
authentic, man. You're authentic, and it's contagious because it doesn't take, like I said, a video or two to see. You're talking real. You're talking from the heart, and that's a rarity in this world we live in, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. So Chad, I relate with you a lot, brother. We should definitely link up and do a
Oh,
speak.
we're going to, bro. I think we need to do, our stories and our life path and the way that we're living today. And I feel like it's a waste if we don't, bro. If there's certain people that and if that's what it's about, it's I could at this point I could really not care less, but it's secondary with like who is Chad gonna be? I'll figure all that out. It's like what is Chad gonna do now with what he's got? Well, I know what I got, man. I got a life. I got a testimony that people need to hear because I watched my mom and dad have to watch their only son go away for a long time. I looked in the eyes of another family who I took a child from and struggled year after year to ever come close to forgive myself for that. I don't want anyone to ever know the shit that I know. You don't have to.
Right, right. Your testimony, it's saving lives too, brother. Anytime, and you got a hell of a testimony. You got a
Yeah.
hell
I
of a
mean,
testimony. Uh, but I would definitely y'all be on the lookout for that. We're gonna be linking up one day. I relate with you. I like you. You're an authentic person too. I can read it. I'm good at reading people, and I would love to get together and do a speaking event or an engagement, whatever, man. Some kind of
shoot,
positive
man, we
book
get
club,
on there. You
whatever.
know how many lives could be impacted. We could get on and on just the pure freestyle, do a live and just go back and forth with each other's lives and stories, bro. And there's who
Yeah,
knows how many people could get something from that. Like
yeah,
with me, we could do it in front of an audience of 2 or 2,000. To me, it's the
right.
same thing. Because if one of them say, "Yep, I get it now," that's it, man. I'm good. I did
Yeah,
I did what I could do.
that's one thing where a lot of value lies in this. Even though you don't see the comment or see the message, I remember being in that addiction, watching content like this, just like
Yeah.
an interview or whatever, a piece of content about somebody else's testimony, and it truly did help me. And I wasn't the type to leave a comment or hell, I barely liked the video if I remember to do it,
Yep.
but it helped change my life, and it's really what got me into this. So I always think about that background watcher. I know I got a lot of those. That person that's just in the background, still in active addiction, getting the value out of whatever I say, whatever you say. Maybe somebody's watching right now that can relate to your situation. So that's the value in all this, man,
Do
and
you
that's
ever? Let
why
me
I
ask you,
continue.
Josh, because you got a testimony and you've what you're doing is it's you can't put a value on it. It's immeasurable. But that being said, you ever had those moments where you're like, damn, is there something I could say now that would have reached the 18-year-old version of me? Like that's how my brain operates. It's kind of like, what could I have told? What could the version of me that wouldn't listen to anything and had to learn the hardest way possible? Is there something I could say or do that could impact that life? That shit motivates me because I feel like that's the unconquerable. Because I had to learn the hardest way possible.
Yeah, I think about that every time I make a video. Like,
There
what
you
can I
go.
say? What can I say in here to impact somebody else? And sometimes I feel like I'm not saying enough. Like, I don't know. Sometimes like I just feel like I'm not able to say enough, or I can't articulate myself or explain it the right way that's gonna change somebody's mind. But that's just my mind because I get messages that say otherwise. I get
Oh,
messages every
absolutely.
day that say, bro, that one video that you said this and now I'm 30 days clean. Or, I started watching you from the beginning and I didn't get clean until a year after I started watching you. Or, now that I got some skin in the game and I've been here for a little while, I get these messages of people telling me that, yo, you said something one time that changed my life. And and that's what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me doing this. Honestly.
How long? How many years you been doing it?
Let's see. I started on
Roughly.
YouTube. Huh?
I'm saying roughly. I mean, I'm not looking for a particular
About a
date,
year and a
but
half.
okay.
About a year
So
and a half.
you're fresh.
Yeah. About a year and a half. I've only been on Facebook about 6 months. I blew up on. I don't know what it was, but
Bro,
I started.
that's wild. Because
Yeah.
you've got a lot of traction, man. Like you got a lot of eyeballs paying attention to the things you do and say, and that's a gift, brother. That's a gift.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
you can determine, to a certain extent, you can determine someone's future, man. It might be just a couple words. You got powers that other people don't. You know what I mean? That's why I say what I say. Like it's like you can't take that for granted. Whether I want to do this or not, this is the shit I gotta do. I gotta do this. I
Yeah.
owe too many people, man.
Exactly. Yeah. It comes with some pressure too. It comes
Oh
with some
yeah,
pressure. Like I got people
I'm
around
already
me.
learning that.
I feel like some people's lives are in my hand. Like I take a lot of responsibility. But I love it though. This is what I signed up for. This is what I signed up for. Tiana says our Scar Nation group started December 1st. That's
Yeah, I'm
right.
looking at that right now. So you're reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So dude, this thing's in its infancy, man.
Oh yeah. We're taking over the world. That's how far I plan on going with it worldwide. I want everybody to know what the Scar Nation movement stands for.
Well, I tell you something, Josh. Like, man, this is the first time me and you interacted, but real talk, bro. Like, I'm Scar Nation, bro. I'm right there with you, dog. Like, you've affected me. You've impacted me. So,
Awesome, man. And I'm right there with you, man. That's all I want to do, brother. And I think first off, I want to say I appreciate you for coming on here and giving your
yeah,
testimony.
man, I
I
appreciate you
know it.
giving me the chance.
Yeah, I know it's helped somebody, impacted somebody, and we will. I can tell you this for a fact, brother. Me and you will definitely be doing more work together in the future.
Absolutely, dog. I love it.
Uh,
I love it.
I, I can relate with you a lot, brother, and you really do got a testimony. So
All right, man.
if there's
Ah,
anything
just
else you want to put out there, we're fixing to wrap this up.
y'all just I'm on Facebook. I don't really know what I'm doing except what I'm doing, if that makes sense. So, pay attention. I try to say the things that I think some ears need to hear, but I share a lot of the rough parts of my life. I don't got any problem, talking about my worst days, even if it's tomorrow. I'm going to talk about it. But yeah, everybody, I mean, really, I'll end it with Scar Nation. Y'all stand up, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, stand the fuck up. Y'all go
That's it,
follow
baby.
this guy. Y'all see he's authentic. I can tell. I know y'all can tell. Go follow him. Give him some support. These are the people that need the support. Like these, by y'all, supporting content like this, you push it out to more people. That's the whole point of supporting. So y'all be sure to go follow him and support him. And again, Chad, man, salute to you. Thank you for
Yes, sir,
coming on.
brother. Love you, dog.
And thank you guys for the support, the stars, the likes, the shares, everything. It means the world to us. Signing out.